welcome to the UGO podcast, Unapologetic Geek Out. I am so excited to be with you here today, guys. It is this nostalgia episode, real hardcore this time.
More so than usual?
Oh, well, yeah, because this is our Ready Player One episode. We're reviewing the movie to end all movies. The one on which the trailer talks we've gotten a lot of shit on about how much we're going to be wrong about this movie.
Yeah, the movie equivalent of Where's Waldo.
Man, so yes, we are going to be, we saw the film, we are going to be reviewing that later in the film, or later in the, later in the podcast.
Whatever that is.
Later in this film.
Is that why there's a camera? Is that why there's a camera in my room here?
Smile, Justin. Are you ready for your, are you ready for your close-up, Mr. Zarian?
You're on Candid Podcast.
I don't know what's scarier, the fact that the camera's here or that somehow you managed to get all the way over to New York to put it there.
Don't worry about it.
No, it's worse with how to get all the way back.
Oh, that is the easy part. When you're creating a dimensional rift, that's always the thing that comes naturally, is the snapping back.
Oh.
But yes, who is talking about opening dimensional rifts? Why, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow Unapologist,
Travis,
the god of the pod himself, and of course our news correspondent Unapologist,
the responding Justin Zarian.
Oh boy,
news respondent.
I am happy to hear Justin's voice today. How are you, Justin?
I am doing good. Mentioned off mic, I'm sleeping a little bit better this week. I got approved for my thesis data gathering this week too, so that's a big hurdle that I had, big burden off my shoulders. Yeah. I'll save, I guess unless you want me to go on to the what I've been watching or what I've been doing lately thing, otherwise.
You know what, we're gonna, we'll go into that in just a sec. I just want to make sure everyone knows exactly what's up with the podcast stuff first. We'll go into general announcements. First and foremost, we will be at Anime Detour next week, guys. It is coming up on that week. It is so close. We can taste it. We can taste Minneapolis already. It tastes like
hipsters.
It does indeed taste like that. It tastes like beard oil and horn rimmed glasses
and avocado toast.
Indeed. We are going to be there in just, running panels and doing interviews. So far, we seem to be on the very late wait list, or they listened to last episode's podcast and we're like, fuck those guys. Yeah. So we won't be running a booth there specifically, but where we will be running a booth is the Midwest Gaming Classic, which will be in Milwaukee the week after. So it's the third weekend in April? Fuck. I forget.
Third.
Is it the third one? Because this is technically the first one because because of Easter. Yeah, alright. So, oh man, I'm so confused on the times. Times is just a construct, guys.
It is.
I mean, is it even...
Oh my gosh, Nick, time isn't even real.
Is it even real? And that is an inside joke for anyone who's watching Double Toasted. But the... other announcement I would like to make is that you can find our new podcast. That's right, I said new podcast on iTunes. Remember way back when I mentioned a project I was working on and it had to do with Stand Against Evil?
Nope.
Well, no one else remembers either. But just in case you do, yeah, we did a podcast on Stand Against Evil. It's called Pod Against Evil. And we have the first episode up. It features both me, Travis, and of course TV Dude Les on that first series premiere episode. Stand Against Evil is a very fun show. Think Evil Dead, but with one of the writers of The Simpsons on it. So very funny, kind of gory, but with Janet Farney and John C. McGinley as the leads. That's right. Dr. Cox and the voice of Cora teaming up to fight evil. It is a really fun show. It was a really fun podcast to record, and you can look for it at, let's see, I have to remember the thing because some son of a bitch took podagainstevil.com away from us. So you might be asking yourself, where can I listen to this amazing podcast? It sounds great. Well, thank you, listener. That's very complimentary. But you can listen to it on iTunes at Pot Against Evil. Just type that in the iTunes feed. It should pop right up. Look for our puzzle non-abiding owl on there. We'd had some great art commissioned by Grant Davis, actually. It was really fun. Also, thanks to Mike Moody for really helping us out in setting that up. Our other podcast feed, he was instrumental in that and kind of got us off the ground there. You can also find us at Pot Against Evil on Facebook or at Pot Against Evil on Twitter, or you can look up the actual URL, which I just found here. There we go. StandAgainstEvilPod.com. Again, that's StandAgainstEvilPod.com. And yeah, unless anyone else has anything new to announce, I think we can go to the How We Doing segment.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why, just when I hear Stand Against Evil, I just think that song, Stand in the Place Where I Am, that old song from the 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah. Travis usually made the pun when we first started, like, maybe we should call the podcast Stand By Me. But
Stand By Evil.
Mm-hmm. I really do think that it was really only called Stand Against Evil because that was the easiest one to make into a pun. The other character is called Evie. Not exactly. I mean, I guess it could be Stand Against Evil.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't sound great.
Well, you know what? If we went with my pun, we might have that website.
It could, yeah, you know what? That one might be, Stand By Me must be taken.
As long as it's not Stan like Stan from Eminem, so that's fine.
Some Stan out there has standbyme.com.
Probably.
I would have to assume. I don't know, I'm going to do a quick Google search.
Well, it's the domain name, not the actual website, but whatever.
But guys, how we doing?
Doing okay.
Yes. I mean, we have been watching... What have we been watching recently?
Well, you had me watch the first episode or two of Santa Clarita Diet.
That's true. How are you liking it?
It's pretty funny.
I got caught up on the second season, and I wanted you to catch up on the first season because I thought, like, wow, the second season, even funnier than the first one, really comes into its own. So I'm glad you're enjoying the first season as well. For those of you who don't know, it's the TV show, the Netflix original, where Drew Barrymore plays a woman who just becomes a zombie out of nowhere one day, and Timothy Olyphant plays the put-upon husband trying to manage her zombie symptoms and put their family back together.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, completely changes her personality.
Mm-hmm. You really liked the shopkeep from the first couple episodes.
Yes. I
think you the very emotionally neutral shopkeeper that keeps helping.
She's hilarious.
I think one of your first things was like, "Oh, tell me she comes back." And I'm like, "Yes, she does come back." So yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying that. Anything else? We did see Pacific Rim Uprising.
We did, and we don't have to talk about it.
God, that movie was boring.
Yep.
Okay, because I'm curious, because like that, when I talk about like stuff advertised on YouTube, that was being advertised to me nonstop for like 2 weeks straight, with pretty much all the shots I'm assuming that are in the end of the movie. But
yeah, if you saw the trailer, you saw the good parts of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, yeah, it's everything is in the end of the movie. They only have like 2, maybe 3 fight scenes in the entire fucking thing.
And wasn't that what we asked for? Was more action, not less action from the previous film?
You'd be surprised how much fucking plot they try and shove in that bitch.
And yet at the same time, I feel like nothing actually happened.
Right?
Even plot wise.
I think we came out calling it Dumb Evangelion, so it's
with less daddy issues.
And it really
I heard that it's very Independence Day 2. Is that a pretty good comparison?
I have not seen Independence Day 2.
So yes.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm trying not to spoil too much by saying it, but I don't know if anyone cares.
No one
cares.
Does
it end with, we're going to take the fight to them?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, it
yeah.
does.
Okay, yeah.
That is
spoiler alert. There is very much the, we're going to come fuck you up sort of thing, which also doesn't make sense because the main plot of this film is that they can't get back and they need help from our side to get back. So whatever. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, and yeah, it was John Boyega is pretty fun in it, but there's even a romantic subplot that goes like, oops, absolutely nowhere. Like
literally.
Yeah. just it ends on this punchline, this joke, and that's where it stands. Like, okay, well, why was that even there?
So does he have more chemistry with that girl or with Scott Eastwood, the block of wood that he acted alongside?
I will tell you what, Scott Eastwood is surprisingly tolerable.
That's an improvement. He's tolerable.
All right, it's the best I've ever seen him, which doesn't mean that he's good. It just means that he's not so noticeably terrible that he takes you out of a film.
But it's also the fact that this whole entire film is kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Scott Eastwood
no,
is such
I thought he was all right in that one romantic Nicholas Sparks movie he did a few years back. That something Ride, whatever it was called, Longest Ride. Where it's like, okay, as a romantic, cheesy romance lead, he's all right, but I can't imagine him actually being taken serious as this super commando that he's supposed to be in this film.
He has such a lack of charisma; it is staggering for someone of his stature, and he's good looking. I mean,
yeah, to be Clint Eastwood's son, come on,
he's like the opposite of The Rock. Like he has like. No, he sucks away screen presence from others too. Like whenever he's on screen, it is a weird enigma of a vortex.
So is he a charisma dementor in a way? Like he just sucks the charisma out like that?
Basically.
Expecto acting patronum. But yeah,
but he is not the problem with this movie.
Oh no, he is far and away not the biggest problem this movie has.
Like, to be honest, he actually does have a little bit of chemistry from John Boyega, but I kinda felt like, you do want to fuck? I'm not sure. Or do you want to have a threesome I think they wanted to have a threesome with the lady.
Yeah, I saw an article, someone suggested, like, this is the best unintentional polyamorous love triangle ever.
Yeah, well, the thing is that spoiler, at the very, one of the last scenes, she kisses both of them, one after the other. I'm like, so, are you John kiss now?
John Boyega's next line after that was, well, that's confusing. And I'm like, just because you acknowledge that it's confusing doesn't make up for the fact that it doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense.
It's just a polyamorous relationship now, so they gotta go make out now.
So yeah, that was interesting. Also glad to see that they learned to paint the Jaegers into primary colors.
Yeah.
And to have fights in the daytime.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that too. The fights are pretty good. I mean, they have a little bit of weightlessness to them. That's not like it really. There's not a huge lack of feeling. I don't know. There's definitely a sense of magic missing in this one. I want to go back and watch Pacific Rim, the first one again, because I remember liking that one.
It's really not all that great. But it looks better when you compare it to other similar films like Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
Or any of the Transformer movies.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just a hair, like a nut hair better than a lot of those films.
I mean, even as much as I love the Pacific Rim film, I do always get to that point where they bring out the sword, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck was keeping you from using the sword the entire time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why punch and waste ammo and do all this stuff when you could chop them up and clearly your strongest weapon, too, so.
It feels a little, like you're kind of fucking around there, guys.
Just a bit.
Well, maybe the world would have been destroyed if you guys weren't trying to show off the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one doesn't really have. I guess it also has that problem with some people not using their melee weapons immediately.
Not nearly as bad though.
Mm-hmm. This one's more like collateral damage. The movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't that the thing? Like somehow people are conveniently not being killed, but in these giant fights in the middle of Tokyo.
Okay, so there's a giant fucking battle in Tokyo near the climax, and they show a bunch of people running around getting crushed by one of the kaiju, and suddenly in the next scene, like what am I like 5 seconds later, they're like, okay, we're here, guys. Well, luckily enough, everyone got evacuated to one of those underground shelters from the first film. And I'm like, you just showed a bunch of those people that weren't evacuated.
Like, even worse than that, they actually show one of like the little tubes that send them down the evacuation, and you see people try to get in, and like the doors close in on them, and they have to keep running. It's like, no, those people are still there.
Yeah,
you actively show that they did not escape.
Yeah, if they only have a limited amount of time, that means there's some people in those buildings or around those buildings that you're knocking over.
I just think they lie to them to make them feel better.
Also, they knock over buildings on purpose. They use buildings as weapons.
And as a stabilizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes just to look cool, cutting through Like, there's the one point where the orange one, whatever it is, uses blades and just cuts through buildings while running just to look cool. There's no point to it other than looking cool, and I'm kind of like, you're causing millions of dollars worth of property damage, and God forbid if anyone's still in those fucking buildings. Yeah, you know what? We've ranted on a Pacific Rim long enough.
Yeah, no, if we learn from anything, Batman v Superman logic applies in this movie too. So, don't worry, everyone's fine. Nobody's there. They're all on lunch break. Don't worry about it.
I'd give it 2 inexplicable robots giving people the middle finger during a final battle out of 5.
I would probably just give up.
that tone for the final battle all over the place.
It's pretty weird, man.
Like,
I'd probably end up giving it 4 out of 10. Like it's not even worth really seeing.
I mean, I would say that it beats Transformers still, but not by a huge margin.
I think it's pretty comparable, actually.
Well, we haven't seen the latest Transformers films. We haven't seen how bad they've gotten.
See, I haven't seen past number 2.
I think number 2 is still the worst one, probably.
Oh, wow.
I saw the first one, and that was all I needed to see.
I mean, I haven't seen the one where they have Merlin show up in the Knights of the Round Table.
Or where they fight Leonard Nimoy as the main bad guy.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think I watched that one. I think that was the third one. I don't know.
Yeah.
They all blend together in this giant metallic chunk to me.
Because they're all the same movie. They're literally all the same plot. They just change out a few of the characters now and then.
Oh, but anyway, Justin, what have you been watching?
Well, on that note, so I got through 2 big things the other day. So the first one I finished through the entirety of Batman: The Enemy Within, the Telltale game.
Ooh. I heard that is supremely excellent. I've been waiting for it to wrap up now to actually get into it.
Okay, so, yeah, have you played any of it so far? Oh, so you said you haven't played a single episode yet?
I have not played a single episode yet. I'm going to dedicate basically a weekend to it at some point. Okay,
so, first of all, yes, this is maybe one of the strongest seasons of any Telltale game ever. And the best thing about it, because, we talked about it a bit when we helped review with the We Are Error guys, where it's Batman was good, the first one, but it had some significant flaws here and there. It had a few issues with animations and, some technical problems.
I thought story of Batman Telltale was unbelievably solid, really interesting what they were doing, how they would diverge from canon so radically.
That stuff was great, but it was just a few of the story beats were a little bit they're good, but they're kind of predictable kind of thing.
Well, I mean, how Penguin's thing wraps up, depending on how you choose how to wrap up Penguin's thing, is a little bit anticlimactic.
Even with the main villain, I won't spoil for anyone who hasn't played it yet, but the reveal of the main villain, once you got past the twist of, the main villain, you're just and it kind of goes the way that you expect it after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this one, the best thing they could have done is make it even more character-driven than the previous episode. Because the previous season, it really drove a lot on the grander plot machinations of the main villain. This one is so much more internalized in weird ways. And I don't want to spoil everything, but let's just say, Joker, or at least, John Doe, is a major part of the story. But you don't know the extent of how much it's going to be tied into his story until you start getting into the season. You're like, oh, well, dang. He is central to everything in the story happening. And it is maybe the most refreshing portrayal of the Joker I've ever seen. Because you saw a bit of him in the Insane Asylum in the first season.
Yes, he was actually a very cool addition to the first, because, I mean, Batman ends up in an insane asylum in the first game, and he has to kind of find his way out of that situation, and he finds an unlikely kind of ally in John Doe, in our proto-Joker, and it's pretty cool, that whole scene with him.
Well, the funny thing is that in that one he seems a little bit more overtly menacing at points, but in this game, he kind of comes on to you as if you're his best friend. And he is fully convinced, dude, Bruce Wayne is the coolest guy in the world, and it's this weird dynamic because it forces you, knowing who he is, in the sense that, as a fan, that he will become the Joker, possibly, but to go well, what if he's not the Joker? Or at least not yet. This guy is such in the state of being molded into either being a good guy or a villain. Obviously he's clearly mentally unstable, but it's just such an interesting dynamic of this weird back and forth friendship you can or cannot develop with the Joker.
That's kind of cool.
So he's basically the Lego Batman's Joker?
Well, I mean, they did
even more than that. Like, he's actually way more sympathetic than even that, where it's like, yeah, he genuinely thinks that he's trying to do good, but the problem is he's got these psychotic impulses in him. So, it's up to you to decide if you're going to mold him into becoming a better person, or if knowing that he's a crazy person, you're going to push him away, and that will cause resentment between him and you. And it really changes the entire way the story flows. And again, the whole thing they do with reshaping the narratives to, like, going away from canon, they've done that a lot this season. Where, like, yeah, Harley Quinn is already an established villain before Joker ever comes to be. Bane has a major part in the story. Mr. Freeze, Amanda Waller. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they set up in the beginning. Heck, the main bad guy you fight in the beginning is the Riddler, who is actually a legitimate threat in this one, where it's like, oh yeah, no, this isn't just some, Gotham Riddler. He's a 20-year vet villain who's like a super serial killer. Like Saw level.
Yeah, he's come out of serial killer retirement or something, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like the idea, like, oh yeah, I've come to wreak my vengeance on Gotham, but this kind of stuff. It's actually really cool, and it's played totally straight. But yeah, it's really, really fun. It's so emotionally well constructed. Like, not even just it delivers well on each scene, but you feel that you go through a whole range playing this season. Like, obviously it spanned over the course of several months because Telltale's development cycle, it's crazy.
Right.
But they clearly put a lot of effort into this. In fact, again, not going to spoil anything, but the final episode of this season can play out completely differently based on how you've been playing the season. Like, literally, there is a certain, point of deviation where if you make a certain amount of distinct choices, you will get an entirely different episode for each way.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's literally only 2 moments that cross over for both playthroughs.
That's, man, you're getting me super jacked for this one, man.
Nick wants to play it now.
I am into it.
There's only one drawback, though. Again, not spoiling, the very final scene, because there's a stinger that's kind of cool, like, like one of those, like, hey, this is the extra scene at the very end of the credits.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a final choice that's made that, while I get what they were trying to do emotionally and thematically, makes it really problematic to continue the series. Because it offers so much diversity in the way that the story can end, that if they're going to make another season, it's going to be dang impossible to jump over the hurdles they set up. So that's the only drawback of this, because otherwise I can't think of anything I didn't like about this season. Every episode works so well. So yeah, that's really exciting. And then one last thing I did watch, just the other night actually. So I am not a regular watcher of Supernatural, the show.
The Scooby-Doo episode.
The Scooby-Doo episode. I watched it. It's kind of amazing.
We have not watched it yet, but it is on the queue because we saw the trailer for it and we got super excited.
Like, I watched
so yeah,
way
I won't
more
talk too much about
Supernatural
it,
than I
but
wanted to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, so it's free on the CW for anyone who's listening right now, at least for the time being. The best thing about this episode is that it has nothing to do with the continuity of the show.
Like, they would almost have to. Not.
I mean, it would be weird if the Scooby Gang really helped them out with what they were doing, rather than the other way around.
Partly because it's been a year in development, because they were animating the whole thing over the course of the last year.
Sure.
And, like, even then, like, there's barely any callbacks to the main Supernatural plot other than, like, a couple references. Basically, all you need to know is, Sam and Dean are brothers, Castiel is an angel who's their ally, and there. That's pretty much all you need to know to watch the episode.
I'll tell you what really sold me in the trailer, what really made me want to watch it, is that there's a moment where they find an actual dead body, and the Scooby Gang go, zoinks, jinkies, gee willikers, son of a bitch.
Yes, for Dean. Well, and the thing is, what's so great about that is that, yeah, obviously there's the whole gimmick that a real ghost has been brought into Scooby-Doo, but the idea is that Dean's the one who's played by Jared Ackles, right? Or what's his name? Jensen Ackles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I know. I'm not a big Supernatural
Sam
fan,
is Jared Padalecki, right?
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, Dean is a humongous Scooby-Doo fanatic that's revealed in the episode. Because he, watched every episode while they were on the road as kids.
Mhm.
And the big thing is that he is fully committed to keeping Scooby-Doo as an innocent cartoon show.
Of course.
And so is the show in general. Like, they don't want to corrupt the Scooby Gang.
Oh, so they're
But-
trying to shield them from actual death?
Yes, which causes some really fun developments later on in the episode, and I won't spoil what, but there's a moment, and you'll recognize when it happens, where no, I'm not going to tease. I'm just saying I laughed hysterically at the reactions some characters had to certain things, because it is just so like, so that's what would happen if that came to be.
They pull a Toy Story moment with with Scooby-Doo, I will be very happy.
It kind of almost is. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, and if you're implying the moment, it's not too far off from what you're thinking.
Yes!
So,
Awesome.
it's really
Justin knows
cool.
how my nerds speak.
Yes. But yeah, so it is a great episode, and you can see in the trailer, it's animated beautifully. Like, even subtle moments like shaking hands and certain gestures and expressions, they're all done with top-notch animation quality. So, like, and that's the thing, like, this could have just been a gimmick episode that they didn't care about, but they clearly put a lot of love into this. And it even ends on a really good note. Like, one of those, like, oh, hey, everything worked out kind of thing, you know?
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. I'm very excited to watch that as well. We
Yeah.
got a lot on the watch list. We got to catch up on an episode of Gotham. Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Gotham.
is back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gotham been crazy fun this season.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I heard that Joker and Penguin have been coming back into the story, right? That you guys mentioned?
Yeah, one of our only complaints about the returning premiere episode was that it didn't feature Penguin and Jerome in it. We've watched a couple episodes after that so far, and Penguin and Jerome have featured in a couple of them. And it's really fun. Also, Penguin getting a really interesting turn in this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So did they recast Scarecrow? I heard that was a news story that was going on.
Did they recast Scarecrow again? I don't know. I haven't seen Scarecrow.
No,
we've
not
seen
yet.
Poison Ivy's new actress.
Yeah, no, that one they definitely made a big stink about how, like, yeah, we're replacing the previous actress, and I think it's probably because they weren't happy with the actress as a performer. At least I wasn't, for sure. But,
Also,
yeah,
I,
I heard
think
there
that I think they're trying to change up it enough so that the audience gets confused on how old Ivy is mentally.
well, yeah, because it's like, so technically she's still a child in an adult's body, even though they aged her.
Yeah.
So, I guess they're trying to find some way to go like, well, you see, her mind developed faster when she was in this new metamorphosis.
Yeah, and now she has the love thing where she can make people love her, but it's no longer a sexual thing, because that would be kind of weird.
So since she does it to children at one point.
Well, she almost immediately does it. She almost immediately does it to children before I remember that it's different. And for someone who like me
Is used to Poison Ivy.
used to Poison Ivy being the seductress and that being her thing, it was like, oh hey kids, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
I mean, to be fair, she still killed their father and made them watch, so...
Sure, I mean levels, but
Definitely levels.
but so it's more like she creates a Uber fan club sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's I'll tell you what, Ivy has not been my favorite interpretation from the Gotham canon.
I don't feel like
here.
they thought that one very carefully. Like, it
No.
feels like it was just kind of it was at first just a casual mention, and then there's like, oh, people actually want to see more of her? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It feels like the more work they're trying to put into making Ivy, the more forced it really feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they created a character villain specifically to age her
Yes.
in last season.
Yeah, it's a real stretch. But yeah, they Jerome and Penguin are having fun in the asylum. It's great to see those guys bounce off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so good to have all their best actors having interacted with somebody else at this point. Like, I mean, Riddler and Penguin, Penguin and Joker, like getting all the best performers to bounce good material off each other. That's a really great thing they're trying to do now with Gotham.
All the villains.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think they know what to do with Lee a whole lot.
No, not at all.
Oh, is that still a problem?
Yeah.
Well,
No.
I mean, she's kind of in charge of the Narrows at this point, but even then, it feels like we don't want to make her they don't want to make her an evil character or a bad character, but also they want her to run a criminal gang now. So it's like, well, maybe let's like one or the other, guys. I don't know what to do, what we're doing here. And it's gotten to the point now where it just feels like Cordelia in Angel, where it's like, and we have this actress on contract, so this is the reason she's around this season.
Yeah, she's still married to the main actor, so we can't get rid of her.
It's starting to it's starting to really feel like that. And it was already starting to feel like that in season 3, where it was like, okay, you sure you don't want to just, I don't know, leave Gotham? Doesn't seem like it's working out for you.
Yeah.
And now Ben McKenzie's like, nope, she stays, I stay.
I mean, I question why everyone else stays in Gotham too, but everyone else has the advantage of being fucking nuts.
Oh, I meant just the actors, it's not even the characters.
Oh, sure. But I'm sure they won't say no to a consistent paycheck, so.
Yeah. I mean, what, Ben McKenzie's already, like, he's a producer now, he's directing episodes of the show, so he's got a little bit more leeway into keeping her around. Even if it makes no sense.
Get it?
So, yeah, I didn't even think that was a pun.
Nice. Nice.
I'm just doing it unnaturally. I mean, yeah, subconsciously now.
So I'm really excited that that's been back. But yeah, with that out of the way, unless anyone has any last minute things to mention, I think we can go into the news segment. All right. Well, I think it's time for This Just In with Justin.
And here we are with the news once again. All right. So, first up on the list here, a few quick Star Wars stories. So, we all know the drama behind Phil Lord and Chris Miller getting canned off of Solo. And apparently they've made just enough of a piece with Star Wars that they're going to get executive producer credits now on the movie.
Okay.
All right. Yay.
I mean, because they did put some work into it, so they can't be completely removed off the list. Mm-hmm. Just, they're not going to be directors, so.
I am going to be very curious how that Solo movie turns out.
I'm not holding a whole lot of new hopes for it.
Well, to return to the story,
Fuck you both. God damn it.
Well, apparently an actor on the set has claimed, they're trying to substantiate the rumors about the extent of the reshoots to the point that Ron Howard's pretty much apparently, they claim at least, that they've reshot a majority of the movie without changing anything in the script. Like, it reads almost exactly the same, they just changed the tone to be a bit more focused than the previous version was. So,
sure.
Yeah, and apparently they're also trying to substantiate the rumor about the acting coach for Alden Ehrenreich, but they also, counted in saying, yeah, so we needed an acting coach to help them to be more like Harrison Ford, but it paid off. So,
acting coaches are there for a reason.
To be fair, we haven't seen a whole lot of them other than just in the trailer. I mean,
he's spoken like 5 lines in the entire 2 trailers we've got.
Yeah, the one line he did give at the very end of the first trailer, I was not very sold on.
Yeah.
But I don't know the context of that scene, so.
Oh, the one when they're flying in the Millennium Falcon is like, told you, nothing to worry about, right? Something like that? Or...
Yeah. I don't know, I think he was trying to come off as Harrison Ford not giving a shit, but it kind of sounded like, it sounded like a little flat affect to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it did seem like a Gene Willikers, like, wow, that wasn't so hard, was it? Kind of thing.
Yeah. But again, it's literally the only full line we get to hear him fucking speak, so.
Yeah. Black Panther is now the highest grossing superhero movie ever.
Woo! Take that, bitches. Take that, you filthy colonizers.
Until Infinity War comes out, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay, now we've had a little bit of a balance, but...
Well, Iron Man was the biggest thing in superheroes until 3 months later when fucking Dark Knight came out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, I mean, and, I'm happy for Black Panther, but I am getting to this point, too, where it's like, as much as I did enjoy watching it, I'm starting to get a little bit of resentment to the people hyping it like it was the greatest movie that ever came out. And I'm like, look, it's good. It's really enjoyable. But, come on, guys. I don't even think it's the best of the Marvel movies. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's a cultural phenomena, so it's going to be hyped for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for that to cool a bit.
I mean, do you remember Avatar? Like, remember that movie came out? Like, that's not even a good movie.
Yeah, and now everyone's like, oh, I don't want to see another Avatar movie.
Yeah, I mean, our cultural opinions usually shift a little bit depending on the things that come out and how they were hyped or how big they were. I don't think Black Panther will get the Avatar treatment.
No, God, no.
But
I hope not.
I mean, I did like the film. I don't think it cracks my top 3 of my favorite Marvel films, but it is up there. Like it actually.
Yeah, no, top 3 definitely for me is the second and third Captain America, and it's between either Iron Man 1 or Avengers 1. So,
God, those Captain America movies are so good.
They are really good.
even first Avengers, it's not my top 5, but I still say it's way better than people give it credit for. So,
Well, the first Avengers is like structurally made for you to like love it, like to put.
it's
like,
Rocketeer. It's the exact same plot of Rocketeer, just with Captain America.
Yeah, and it's like
It's so much Rocketeer, it's the same director.
I mean, there's a whole meta narrative going on with the whole Shield Council questioning Fury on, is this whole Avengers thing gonna work? like you imagine that those Shield directors were movie producers, and the whole film takes on a whole new meaning with Joss Whedon and the Nick Fury part.
Oh, you meant first Avengers, not the first Avenger. Sorry. Okay, I was understanding, like, wait a minute, what?
Oh, no,
You're talking about 2 different movies.
Yeah,
right?
I was talking about the first Avengers, sorry.
Okay,
I realized that I actually
America
forgot about
is-
the
subtitle.
Yeah.
Also
Anyway,
a fun
well,
movie. Because
also a
you
fun
are
movie.
right, it is like The Rocketeer.
Yeah. Okay, so now that I get you, I totally get your joke. So
I
there
see
we go.
you, for telling you Avatar speak.
Well, you know what we also see? We're probably going to see Clark Gregg actually come back to the MCU movies, but with a twist. So they just announced that Captain Marvel, he will show up in that movie. Because it takes place in the past, so we'll see a younger version of Clark Gregg in there. So,
Cool.
You know, but also, Jimon Hansu and Lee Pace may be reprising their roles. You know, the guys who played 2 of the major bad guys from Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, they are fighting, like, what, Kree?
Yeah, so it might be possible to see Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser and Jimon Hansu as that guy.
That one dude.
The Who guy.
Who?
He should do that again. Like, I'm Captain Marvel. Who? That would be great.
I'll remember. We only remember from this film for one single word. Who?
But he does it better than anyone else. Ant-Man and the Wasp apparently is going to go through some extensive reshoots, at least reportedly. In fact, so much so they're going to change the entire opening sequence of the movie. So,
Really?
I'm not sure how true that is, but I believe it. At this point, knowing how much reshoots happen with a lot of big movies these days, I don't doubt it. So,
Well, with the technology and the amount of money that they can throw at it, it becomes easier to do any of these even more extensive reshoots now.
Yeah.
Suppose since if you make a good enough movie, it's gonna make its money back in the first few hours anyway.
Feels pretty last minute to me, considering it's supposed to come out that's the next film after Infinity War, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming out late, I don't want to, it's not November, I don't think, but it's coming out later in the year for sure.
Well, I mean, I would say that it would be a time to get nervous, but it happens so often now. And yeah, so I would say that I mean, they probably are changing it for a reason. Maybe there's something with Infinity War coming up that they have to switch around, or maybe there's just something that's not playing right with some test audiences.
Actually, from what I see, is that it's supposed to be July 6th.
Really?
Oh, okay, yeah, wow.
So it's like right after Infinity War.
You know, I'm just saying, please be better than Ant-Man 1, because I know I'm on that side. Ant-Man 1 is garbage. So, just be better than garbage, and you're a step in the right direction.
I mean, I wish we would have gotten a full Edgar Wright film out of it as well, but I did like the film that we got.
It just felt so patchwork. Like even not knowing the drama behind it, you can feel like there's 7 different writers writing this movie, to the point it's like, okay, so on one hand, we have this really surrealish kind of Edgar Wright style of comedy, and then on the other hand, we have, the director who's the director of Bring It On directing this movie. And it feels like an episode of feels like a Bring It On movie, but with Ant-Man at times. So I'm just like, but we'll see. Ryan Reynolds, hot on the heels of Deadpool 2 coming out, is getting co-writer credit on the movie.
Cool.
Awesome, actually. I kind of like that.
Well,
Yeah,
the character is very much written with his voice in mind, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well I mean, and obviously that was the thing apparently that drove Tim Miller off the project with the creative differences, and I'm sure that's probably why, because Ryan Reynolds got a lot more say in this time, so.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure Ryan Reynolds is like, look, I finally have a superhero take off for me. I'm going to make sure this does not fuck me over.
And he's the guy who pushed it for all these years, like for 10 years he's been doing this. So
That's the one reason why I'm actually okay with it, because I'm like, no, he's somebody that actually wants this to succeed for the character.
yeah. X-Men Dark Phoenix, that sequel that no one's really asking for, but it's happening anyways, got pushed back to February 14th, 2019.
Oh no.
And New Mutants, that one that's got, it got delayed because of reshoots, got pushed back to August 2019. Because apparently, if the rumors are true for this one too, half the movie is being reshot.
God damn.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
Apparently that feedback that the movie was not scary enough, apparently relied to more than just a few scenes. So.
Yep. Okay.
And even sadder too, this was a news story that came out just today. John Hamm was going to play Mr. Sinister in the movie.
What?
And now that's not happening. So.
Damn it. That's like
Yeah.
awesome casting for Sinister. Fuck.
I know, right? But that also means too that the movie that's taking the spot of Dark Phoenix that was supposed to come out this November is the Queen biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh,
which
okay.
that one's had some troubles because they fired Bryan Singer off the director spot for it. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that because Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, I just want to see how that turns out. That looks
Will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, parting ways is Donald Glover was supposed to be doing a Deadpool animated series with FX, and that's not happening anymore.
Yeah. Damn it.
That's sad.
I was actually excited for that one.
Apparently, everyone's trying to throw a who to blame story thing lately, where it's like, oh, they fired us oh no, they don't want to do it because it was too racist against black people, where it's like, yeah, we have an all-black writing staff, and it's not white enough for you people in FX, but it's like, no, it's just, they just couldn't agree. They just couldn't agree on anything, apparently, so. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a shame. Let's see. Oh, there was there was a promo for the Death of Superman, the new animated film that's coming out soon.
Oh, who
Not a
gives
lot to say
shit?
there, except, oh, what?
I was just gonna say, who gives a shit?
No one really does. Why do they keep remaking the story? I don't know. But, it's Jerry O'Connell playing Superman, Nathan Fillion's playing Green Lantern, Rainn Wilson is playing Lex Luthor. So they just announced a whole cast list. I'm like, okay, you got a lot of talented people.
I
But
can't tell you how much I'm annoyed that one of the worst stories in comics is held as this big fucking event in the Superman mythos.
That just has to be told anytime they tell anything.
Well, because everyone wants that thing where it's like, Superman can actually be killed and he's not invincible. It's like, yeah, but why do you have to make such a sucky story to tell it?
Every version of this story has been bad. It's from the jump. It's been a bad idea to just have Superman randomly die from just this new fucking monster.
By Grey Hulk.
Yes. Like, it does. It'd be one thing if Lex Luthor or Brainiac or someone from his past finally got one over on him. I mean they pulled it off the better version of this in what was it called?
Justice League.
In Justice League, yes, there's an episode in there that's fucking amazing that they do it in. And also,
and he doesn't die, he lobotomizes Doomsday in that one, which is kind of amazing.
holy shit. I was actually talking about more the one about where he gets transported into the future and they have to deal with his death in the real world. But also,
that one, yeah.
Yeah. So, but also there's a great comic run, All-Star Superman, that deals with the death of Superman that's the good version of this story, but they keep making the shitty Doomsday one.
Well, because the Doomsday one has action in it, and, comic fans who are not, hardcore comic fans just want to watch people punch stuff with Superman, so...
Well, I don't want to watch this. I'm a fake geek for this kind of shit, so...
I just don't want to watch Grey Hulk fight Superman anymore. I'm fucking done with it.
And I get the logic that they wanted somebody who Superman hasn't already beaten, but yeah, when it's just Grey Hulk, it's not really all that interesting. Also, though, something that is a little bit more exciting, Pedro Pascal, what's his name from Game of Thrones?
Oberyn Martell.
Oberyn, yes. He is joining Wonder Woman 2. So,
cool.
Yeah, they haven't said what role, but they're like, yeah, he's going to be a major character. We're just going to be tight-lipped about it for the moment.
He's reprising his role from Narcos. Wonder Woman is going to be fighting the cartel.
I mean, it is set during the Cold War, so
Okay, maybe I'm
sure they
off
could
by a
find
little
it.
bit.
Let's see here. Skipping through a bunch of stories. So you remember that Adventures of Tintin sequel? I mean, or that movie that came out?
You know what? I do remember it.
Like
I actually had a
vaguely.
lot of fun with it, with its visual style and how it worked. It was supposed to be part of a trilogy, I think, of where a bunch of, like, I think the first one is directed by Spielberg, and then the next one was supposed to be directed by I think one was supposed to be directed by Guillermo del Toro, maybe?
No, so the sequel is supposed to be directed by Peter Jackson.
Yes,
And the
that's
story
right.
is that sequel is still going to happen, but it's probably going to take 3 years. So,
Okay.
yeah, apparently there's some complications because, the first one was a modest hit, but not really all that special. So, I'm sure it's hard to justify getting people to invest in the movie, for a sequel, especially with how freaking big an animation job it is, too. So,
Yeah. It was real fun, and I don't know if a sequel this long in the game is waiting this long is gonna help out its interest and
Nope.
awareness as well.
Not so much.
Nah. Although I know foreign European fans, Maciek Kerr, a friend of ours from oneofus.net, who's a humongous Tintin fanatic, so I'm sure it'll probably resonate a lot more with European audiences than American audiences.
Okay.
Colin Trevorrow is returning to direct Jurassic World 3.
Yay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen Jurassic World 2 yet.
I don't need to.
Well, I mean, that one is, at least the director from that one's a director I love, J.A. Bayona, who did The Impossible, A Monster Calls, a bunch of really good little indie horror films.
Man, both those movies were good. I really like A Monster Calls.
Yeah,
It's a
so
really
I mean,
fucking good film.
that gives me a little bit of hope despite how goofy the trailers are, but it's like, yeah, but Colin Trevorrow, I mean, I kind of thought Jurassic World was alright. A lot of people hate it now, but I'm like, I thought it was fine.
I'll tell
But
you
I'm not-
what, Jurassic World is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand people don't like it, and there's legitimate reasons. It has flaws.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of it that just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's really fun in this B movie schlocky type feel that I get a kick out of it every time. So
No, when I went to go see it, there was that bit when it turns into a giant dinosaur wrestling match at the end.
yes,
And I laughed so hard in the theater because I'm like, I'm loving this, but it's so freaking ridiculous. And clearly some people did not appreciate that because they gave me the stink eye. And I'm just like, come on, it's just funny. It's fun. Just enjoy it.
For me, that pretty much saved the whole movie for me. I was like, yeah, all right, let's go for it.
It was also something that you kind of predicted going into the movie, too.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
have this whole this is what I want this film to do. I want him to go this level of ridiculous.
I just didn't think it would actually do it. So I was kind of pleased. And it's like, oh, they're going there. Okay.
It's kind of like if the Fast and the Furious movies, one of their cars did end up transforming, and you're like,
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it would happen one of
Or
these
the cars
times.
assemble into a Voltron or something like that.
I swear to God, I had that exact thought in the last movie when their cars all formed together to protect Vin Diesel. For just a half second, I truly believed they were going to form Voltron. Just a half second, but I believed it.
Yeah. So the Lego movie sequel, I'm starting to lose some hope in that movie. Okay, so, sorry, one sec. Tiffany Haddish just joined the cast, right now, which, that's not so bad, because, it's Tiffany Haddish, she's kind of a rising star at the moment. However, what they're not advertising a lot is the guy who just rewrote the script, because it's gone through 2 rewrites already.
Sure.
And the guy's name is Matt Fogel, who's been a guy who's been one of those, assistants on the previous films that Phil Lord and Chris Miller made, but his one screenwriting credit so far, Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son.
Oh,
the
no.
third in the Big Mama movies.
Okay, that doesn't bode well.
No, so you went from Phil Lord and Chris Miller writing the draft, to the guy who wrote BoJack Horseman, to the guy who wrote Big Mama 3.
Ooh, that's a downward spiral if I've ever
Well,
seen one.
I mean, I'll give them this. I would be nervous no matter who it is taking over Phil Lord and Chris Miller's reigns after this, because
Yeah.
any project they work on always feels like such a dare to make a good movie out of it. 21 Jump Street should not have worked, but they made it amazing. Lego Movie, I should not be so into that movie, but they found a way to really construct a meta-narrative around it to make me really go, holy shit, this is actually a really cool idea in movie and I'm really into it. So anyone, like, they are very specifically talented at that sort of thing. So any sequel that is made out of any of their properties already has that kind of like, factor going in.
Yeah. Oh well. Sharknado 6 will be the final Sharknado movie. So,
Jesus Christ. What's the subtitle for this one?
Who cares?
Sharknado 6.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know. It basically is just like, yeah, sure, there's going to be time travel in this one, and it'll be the final Sharknado movie. So, there you go.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Netflix. I can only find the second collection film, but for Sharknado, I'm all covered. You got all 5 of them on there.
Oh, Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, though, Stranger Things 3 is confirmed to be set in 1985 for the next season.
Nice.
And, you know, obviously they said some stuff like, yeah, the romances will continue and they will develop over the course of the story, and Steve will have a bigger role this season.
Steve!
So, I love, like, Steve has become my favorite character out of nowhere. Where it's
Dude,
like,
Steve
okay, you know,
is my hero.
Hopper, 11 and stuff. Steve, though, he has a full character arc going on. Like, he's actually shaping and forming into a new person, and I really dig that a lot.
Steve, they do that thing with Steve you always kind of want them to do. He goes from stereotypical bully, but then he starts to make every decision you'd want someone like that to make. Like, holy shit! Like, they never do this with the bully type characters.
No.
And he becomes not only like he's not a bully, but he's like a legitimately nice guy.
And a good boyfriend.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the boyfriend, I actually kind of like that they're not pursuing the romantic stuff with him so much, because I think he works better with the other people in the cast than he does with the girlfriend. You know? Like,
well, he said it himself. He's a surprisingly good babysitter.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. No, he's kind of, like, I want to see him become, you know, like Hopper's sidekick and like hunting down bad guys and that stuff. Like, that would be so awesome, because it kind of makes sense, his development, like with the baseball bat and him becoming, you know, the guy who can fight the monsters and that stuff. Just show that. Show him becoming like, you know, Steve, mutant hunter, or, you know, alien hunter kind of thing.
Hopper and Son.
That would be great. So apparently Rick and Morty, we talked about how the 4th season's kind of in jeopardy right now, but Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon over Twitter clarified some of the comments saying, look, it's not that it's officially over, but there's apparently some complicated contract negotiations, quote, that's keeping it being held up. So,
really?
I mean, it's not like Adult Swim's gonna throw it away just because the fan base is toxic, but I'm sure there's some stuff that needs to be worked out going forward. So.
That's interesting. I mean, I wonder what the issue with the contracts and stuff would be. I mean,
who knows?
I mean, the main voice actors, creators, and writers are all like the same fucking people.
Yeah. So it must be something with like future merchandising or how to handle stuff like the Szechuan sauce stuff, which I'm sure kind of exploded as something they weren't expecting, to be fair.
Yeah, maybe that, yeah, I suppose that sort of stuff would not have been in their contract because they didn't know how that sort of thing would go off.
Yeah, like, it's like, okay, McDonald's, we love you for going in on the joke, but it kind of ruined people's interest in the show. You know, a little bit.
It's actually the first time McDonald's has done things like that, though.
Well, I mean, let's be straight. The Szechuan sauce was not very culturally sensitive when it first showed up.
True.
I mean, Szechuan sauce is not racist. It's an actual legitimate sauce, so...
No, I mean, the Szechuan sauce itself wasn't racist. The commercial that went with it was a little bit racist.
Okay, I never saw the commercial, so I don't know.
The Mulan commercial that went with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up on YouTube every once in a while, if you got the time. It's interesting.
Oh, I bet. Let's see. Do you guys watch The Crown?
I do not.
Mm-mm.
I've heard
Okay.
that it's pretty good, actually, though.
It's a very good show. Very well done. The guy who played Edmure Tully, Tobias Menzies, he's gonna replace Matt Smith for season 3 and 4, because they're doing a giant time skip with older versions of the King and Queen.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm like, I like that actor a lot. He's in Outlander, too, for people who care about that. But
Sure. Well, Edmure, I don't think has much to do after his arc is pretty much done in Game of Thrones.
which is sad, because it's not over, technically, for his arc, but it feels like it's just like, that's just one thing we'll never have to address again. Don't worry about it.
I bet you he has a bigger thing in the books.
So there is going to be a Street Fighter TV series. So
Okay.
But also that was tied into the story. Astro City, a comic I really love a lot, is getting a TV show too.
Okay, cool. Well, for the Street Fighter one, I would suggest having some fucking street fights in it.
Nah.
So that way you could be at least better than the Jean-Claude Van Damme film.
Yeah, I think they're going a very different route with how to do that. So Not having a guy from Brussels trying to be an American Secret Service agent.
What are you talking about? My accent
not
is
know
impeccable.
life?
I have to go get in my boat. I'm going to kick Bison's ass.
Man, I've only seen like chunks of that movie, but it's hysterical.
Oh boy, that movie's funny.
Oh yeah.
That movie's funny to watch.
So, Roseanne, the revival, premiered this week. I know some people have mixed opinions on the fact that Roseanne's a Trump supporter, which, to clarify, having watched some of the show is not a Trump vehicle. It's, like, they discuss it in the first episode, the fact that the family's very clearly divided in political opinions between her and her sister and the children.
Okay.
But it's not meant to be like, yeah, Trump rules. It's just, this is a blue-collar family, and statistically speaking, blue-collar families voted for Trump. So, they have to at least address it, kind of thing. But, the thing that's amazing about it is that the revival scored the highest ratings of any premiere this season, like any show that came out this season, and it's the highest network premiere in 3 years.
Well, it was a very, very popular show when it was on the air, and I'm pretty sure the nostalgia factor was only helping it.
Oh, and they promoted like crazy. Like, it's been advertised for at least a good 4 or 5 months before it came out. So, yeah, everyone was aware that it was coming out.
Getting John Goodman
so much so,
back.
though, that they... Oh yeah, hey, I mean, John Goodman, he's great. And apparently it's done so well, they already renewed it for season 2. Like, shock, right?
Right. I mean, that's I thought it was going to be a mini-series to begin with, but...
Well, they only did 9 episodes, but I think now that they know that people want to watch it, they like, okay, done, make more.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one thing that's not getting made more at the moment, you know that Lock and Key pilot they're developing?
Isn't there wasn't there supposed to be a Lock and Key pilot already floating around, or are they developing a new one?
Yeah, so there was the previous one that got scrapped completely. So this is a new one they shot with the guy behind It directing it, Muschietti.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, Hulu, who produced the dang thing, aren't continuing it. So they're shopping it around for a new channel. But it's like, really? You guys invested this much time and money, and you're like, never mind.
Interesting. I would like it if we just every couple years we get a new pilot to Lock and Key that doesn't get picked up. That we all hunt down on the internet and watch and be like, this would have been a good show.
Yeah, oh well. One day it'll happen, people. I'm skipping over the RIPs because you guys don't recognize any of these actors. And it's all ladies, sadly, too. So.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people like one of them was a little person actress who was one of the Ewoks on Return of the Jedi. So she died at 58. So, and she was also in Total Recall. And then, okay, 2 funny stories end. Josh Trank has redacted Fantastic Four from his Instagram filmography, trying to hide the fact that nobody can see that he directed that movie. So, I'm sure he's like, look, I'm getting a second chance to direct Fonzo, that new Al Capone biopic, so I don't want people to go think from the guy who brought you Fanforstic.
Mm-hmm. Well,
sorry, dude. Internet doesn't forget.
Nope.
I mean, it wouldn't be a big thing if you had more movies to like. Didn't you only direct like 2 movies? Like wasn't it like Chronicle and what was the other one? Nothing. No, yeah. I'm pretty sure you directed another one.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Chronicle and.
I'm sorry. What was that?
But the last story here that I had to end on because the Spice Girls are developing an animated movie with superheroes.
Wow.
What?
I do not know how to respond.
I that's why I put it there. I'm just like, I have no words. Just Spice Girls. What is with this? Like, so many sites I've been seeing lately are reviewing Spice World as if it's like, oh, it's a cultural significance to talk about it again. It's like, but didn't we all admit that movie sucks balls?
Maybe I'm out of touch with that cultural milestone, but I've never even seen Spice World. And I'm not really into the Spice Girls overall, so...
I remember I did watch it. I think even remember when I was watching it, I watched it because it was a trashy, bad movie.
Meatloaf is in that, right?
Gosh, the fact that it's a movie that the Spice Girls helped write, apparently, they're like, oh yeah, it was just a bunch of ideas for scenes that they cobbled together into a movie. And you're just like, that is not encouraging for good quality there.
I did listen to a whole episode of Junk Food Cinema where they went off on it.
Oh yeah, no, Junk Food Cinema, How Did This Get Made, Double Toasted recently, everyone is just trash this movie. It's like, why? And I get it. The Spice Girls
except
were
for Junk Food
huge.
Cinemas, who loved it, but
But that's
Oh,
the
okay.
whole point.
Yeah, that's them. But that's the whole thing too. It's like Spice Girls. I get they're huge in England. They were big at the time they came out. But who's asking for more Spice Girls material? That's
Spice
been like
Girls.
20 years.
look, I barely remember them, and I was alive during their heyday when they were big.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does anyone under 20 know who these fucking people are?
Probably not.
I would
Probably not.
say no. I would ask who the fuck the target of this animated cartoon is, but yeah, interesting to say the least.
The one thing they'll know is that one Spice Girls was married to David Beckham, and that's about it. So,
All right, well, with that obscure spice out of the way, we will take a small musical break. Thank you so much for joining us, Justin.
yeah, that story's made me salty Spice, apparently. So
Salty spice. I like it. I think that should be a new avatar or something on a meme when you're having a GIF conversation or something. Is just like no, salty spice. No, not having it. Salty spice.
It's salty and spicy.
But yeah, would you like to tell the people where they can find you and some of your content?
Yes, you can find me at oneofus.net. For right now, my award season podcast, Eye on the Prize, is on hiatus because, we're waiting for the next award season.
Sure.
But you can find me writing in the notes on the Breakfast Pub and occasionally hosting with Nick and Shaquille Lambert, Ian Butcher, and a few other people, which has been a lot of fun, the episodes we've done together. So,
Yeah, that was very fun doing them together. Tell
yeah.
Trevor I miss him.
I will.
I think about him constantly.
Yeah, Ian's gonna be on this week's episode with Chris, so that'll be cool too. And then you can find me occasionally on here, and then right after this recording, actually, I'm gonna record a stream with Christopher Herman, our good friend from We Are Error, for his news site, which I believe that.
Are you talking about the Christopher Herman, the man with a class and man with a glass?
Yes, that's the one. So, yeah, you can look up him. He's Mr. Revan N7 on Xbox. And he Twitches, and that's where he brought the name he broadcast for his Twitch. And yeah, we're going to be playing A Way Out, the new game that came out last week, which
fun.
surprisingly was flying off the shelves because I went to the mall at my local place here. I got the very last copy in the entire mall.
Well, it's almost as if people actually want to play couch co-op
Bring
games.
couch co-op back. Bring couch
Woo!
co-op back.
Yeah, you think that story-driven games that you and your friend or spouse or whatever can enjoy together. Yeah, you think that people would develop more of that instead of just playing just cheap, gambling games essentially for multiplayer. Also, fun story, sorry, before we go. Talking about things flying off the shelves. The last few weeks I've been to the mall. The one thing that definitely flew off the shelves recently, The Shape of Water. Because after that movie won Best Picture, the day I went to go buy it, I literally got the last 4K copy available there too. Like, there was literally 2 DVD copies available left on the shelves.
If there's anything I've learned this year is that people are surprisingly more into fish fucking than I thought they were.
But you know what they're not into? The Last Jedi.
Oh no.
Because The Last Jedi has been fully stocked on all the shelves for 3 times since I've been to the mall this week. There's been few purchases of that. So I know I'm not trying to keep bringing it up all the time, but I'm just
But you do.
thank you. Yes, thank you.
Man, that next episodic J.J. Abrams Star Wars cannot get here fast enough
I know.
because I need Justin to heal his wounds.
Or at least have something new to bitch about.
That is the salty spice. I am throwing salt in that wound, dang it.
It's starting to affect your relationships now.
Yeah, did you like Last Jedi? Yeah, that was alright. Get out!
Get out! I thought I knew you.
I thought I trusted you, Nick, Travis, Ian, Shaq.
Wow, maybe
Basically
you're the-
everyone that I know and respect, whose opinion I respect. Oh, wait
But
a minute.
thankfully, Chris Herman's on my side, so there's one person there.
Yeah, Chris, I was actually speaking to him a little bit about that. I forget at what point too, but yeah, he is not a big fan of that movie either.
Well, there you go.
So,
one person's on your side.
Expect to hear us commiserate about that during our stream of A Way Out tonight.
Yay.
All
Because I
right.
don't hear enough of that.
Well, we're gonna let you get on with your
You must
saltiness.
listen to the truth. You must listen to the truth, Travis.
You'll stew in your saltiness. We'll be right back right after this musical break.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination.
All right, Travis. I'm sorry. Player one, are you ready?
I'm player one.
You got to be player one. I've told you this before, and I'll tell you every time again. I'm player 69 every time.
I'd like to speak with HR now.
Okay. Ring, ring. Hello. This is HR.
I quit.
Good to know. Bring in the new Travis.
Hi, I'm the chipper version.
For those of you who don't know, we cloned Travis's here. It's fine.
Wait, what?
But with that existential crisis, we're going to leave that one for later. We're talking about nerd stuff right now. So let's talk about the nostalgia trip of all nostalgia trips, Ready Player One.
My name's Wade Watts. My dad picked that name because it sounded like a superhero's alter ego, like Peter Parker or Bruce Banner. But he died when I was a kid. My mom too. And I ended up here. Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis. A whole virtual universe. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Yeah. It's the only place that feels like I mean anything. The Oasis was the brainchild of James Halliday.
Hello. If you're watching this, I'm dead. I created a hidden object, an Easter egg. The first person to find the egg will inherit $500 billion and total control of the Oasis itself.
Who is this Parzival, and how the hell is he winning?
Find him.
This isn't just a game. I'm talking about actual life and death stuff.
The Oasis, the world's most important economic resource. And it's nothing less than a war for control of the future.
Welcome to the rebellion, Wade.
Like many of you, I only came here to escape. But I found something much bigger than just myself. Are you willing to fight?
Help us save the Oasis.
So we saw this film last night, and of course we've talked about it on previous trailer talks before. We've gotten a little bit of shit for it, for our opinions. Our opinions changed over time, to be fair.
It was our opinions of trailers.
And as the closer we got, the more excited we did get. Travis, you have not read the book.
I have not, no.
I have. I like the book. I'm not in love with it. The book has some problems, some which the movie actually addresses, some in which it does not. But,
or at least doesn't fix.
Or, it doesn't fix completely. Also, get ready. If you are a queen for continuity from the book, a lot of shit different in here. It would almost have to be. But for those of you uninitiated, Ready Player One is the story of Wade Watts, and he is spending most of his time in something called the Oasis. It's basically a future version of the internet, which is like a mixture between VR, like some of the most advanced VR you've ever seen, and those fan fiction boards or whatever, when a bunch of characters, or you can like role play as a bunch of different characters or anything like that. The opening of the movie pretty much just establishes it pretty quick of like you can do anything. There's the vacation planet. There's a casino planet.
It opens up, actually, the first one we see is Minecraft World. I'm just like...
There's Minecraft World.
Oh my god.
We'll lose hours into there.
Who would ever leave there?
You can go climbing on Mount Everest with Batman. So yeah, there's that. And he's part of of the contest where a bunch of people are trying to hunt down this Easter egg laid by the guy who created the Oasis, James Halliday. He's this kind of eccentric old guy, very Willy Wonka type that is trying to leave his chocolate factory, I mean the Oasis, to a new a person that needs to win it via a contest. The contest is some challenges, so like 3 nerdy kind of pop culture-y challenges. Mm-hmm. That part is all still the same from the book, and yeah, so it's basically a race to see who can out nerd another, each other to win the internet.
Right,
like quite literally win it.
This is pretty much it.
And yeah, he teams up with his friends to do it. Some of the other hunters, like H, his best friend, and his love interest Artemis, are also after it. He has to fight the evil organization known as IOI, because when you throw those capitals out there, it looks like 101.
That's just actually kind of confusing.
Yeah. But yeah, so this movie was very interesting, directed by Steven Spielberg. Actually, Spielberg took a lot of his own stuff out.
Look, the book actually references Spielberg, correct?
The book references a lot of Spielberg.
Because 80s.
Well, I mean, I guess not a whole lot. Like, not more than a whole lot of anything else. But there is like a Jaws thing that they mention. They mention Indiana Jones. But the book also mentions Star Wars, and they can't use that shit at all.
Disney would bring down the hammer.
I mean, they say Millennium Falcon once, like, you can have the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, I don't think you can.
Not on screen, at least.
I mean, prove it.
They probably could have got away with it if they were, like, flipping through their inventories and, like, it could have been on screen for, like, half a second.
So, some of the things, different in the book are, one, basically all of the challenges. One of the drawbacks from the book is just that the nostalgia factor goes so far, and that they have to describe everything to you. In this movie, everything is just on screen all the time, so you can just catch shit in the background.
Visual cues are always going to be easier than explaining something.
Yeah, you're just going to be able to recognize Tracer and some of your Overwatch faves from just like, oh, I know that thing. That's the thing I know. I like that.
A lot of Overwatch in this movie.
There's Blizzard got a payday.
Because I mean, Tracer and Reaper show up a lot. I saw Mercy's wings in one of the shots. I know that because she has very distinct wings.
It's always hard to are they the same avatars? Because everyone can change their avatars and be different people. Which is weird because there's so little multiples of anyone. Like, there's only one.
I mean, they could all be different Tracers. We don't know.
Like, they could all be different, but then they're always like, I think there's some sort of couple because I always see that the Tracer and the Reaper are always together. And they're also the same outfits every time. So, but yeah, the challenges are all different. Like, the first challenge in the book is fighting your way through a D&D instance. One of the adventures or whatever from long past or whatever, forgotten.
Okay.
And it ends with a game of Joust. This one is like, we don't think that's really that too visually interesting. So instead, we're gonna do this giant fucking race to end all races.
It's a pretty cool race.
In which they race on what must be asphalt version of Hot Wheels tracks of like the crazy jumps that they go over. We race with the DeLorean versus monster trucks versus
the Akira bike.
The bike from Akira. And we dodge out of the way of wrecking balls from from Fast and the Furious 7. We dodge the T-Rex from the Jurassic Park film. And the main boss at the end is King fucking Kong. So immediately I'm like, whoa, that was fucking cool. It does a lot to sell the world very quickly. And sell you on it, which I was like, oh, this is fun. I really did appreciate throwing us in the deep end there, on that instance. And yeah, so they do a lot more to establish a lot of the world and what's going on in the book before basically anything happens.
Right.
And in this one, they throw you like right in to what's going on. And yeah, that's the first challenge. In order to find one of these keys, you got to find 3 keys to win the final prize at the end. And no one's been able to find this first key.
Mm-hmm.
But our buddy Wade, or as in his his avatar name is Parzival, he finds the secret to the first challenge, and thereby kind of snowballs after that into this giant race till the end between him and the head of IO9, played by Krennic from Rogue One, Ben Mendelsohn. Sorry, I know you have an actual name.
Yeah, but wow, is he not an intimidating bad guy?
Imagine Krennic even if he was somehow less like effective and even less menacing.
It's funny too, because at one point in the movie, he gets a gun, and it's just like,
oh, that's cute.
Oh, honey.
Like it. I mean, also in one of the to be, and not to go into too many spoilers, IOI in this film are very. They're not very effective villains. Like they never come off as very threatening.
Well, you told me in the book they're a bit more efficient, aren't they?
Well, in the book, not to spoil too much of how the book and the movie are different, but yeah, it's a little darker. Not all of the high five make it through the end of the book.
Yeesh.
And yeah, shit gets real and stakes get real high by the middle point of the book. And in this one, there isn't that point, and I feel like that's Spielberg's influence there, because Spielberg directing this comes with some pros and cons.
A little bit caveats.
The pros are that the action sequences have this great level of fun adventure to them. They are very on the Indiana Jones track. They feel just kind of epic. I mean, that whole I can't stop thinking about that race.
This race is really cool.
I almost want to go watch the movie again just for the race because of how cool the race is.
Like the rest of the challenges are fun. They're definitely really good, but the race is so visually distinctive.
Well, it's cool because this movie is the most visually distinctive, and the color palette is the most rich, and you can see the most of what's going on in the beginning part of it. And one of my issues with the movie is that as we progress through the movie, the color palette gets a little duller. The editing gets a little faster to hide some of the people we probably don't have the rights to. So it gets a little hard to keep track of everything. You can still see it's still nowhere near a Transformers like editing nightmare level, but it does get a little bit hard to actually see what's happening with anyone that's not the Iron Giant.
Right.
Or
the Gundam.
Because
the Gundam was for some reason all still in primary colors. It was weird.
Yeah, but it really helped it stand out in that final battle. But you know what? We're not going to spoil too much of the final battle. That's basically what you guys are here for. And yeah, it's really cool. His visual style of shooting an action sequence really comes through here.
Mm-hmm.
Con is that it has the E.T. level of bad guys where it's just kind of like, well, I mean, there's kind of a threat, but you never have to take it that seriously.
You want a little side note about I'm saying no children were harmed in the making of this film.
Yeah, and there's a point where Artemis has to go throughout the third act and do this whole in the belly of the beast, where she's in the heart of IOI thing, and it feels like real easy. Like it like there's not a like, yeah, she's breezing through that.
Like the head office is like right above basically everyone's workstations, and it's not locked.
IOI, I need to talk to you about your floor plan. Maybe get some locks or at least a fucking handle on your doors.
Maybe an elevator. I don't know.
Something, guys. I mean, it's Baby Town frolicsome in there.
And that's not even talking about how they got access to it.
Type in guest. That's not going to be. Oh my god.
Oh, what's the password? Try 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is it password? The access code is access code. But yeah, so that's a little bit of a negative there. As far as other negatives go, I actually only have like maybe 2 big ones and then some like nitpicky shit. Most of all, I really had fun with this movie.
It was fun.
I I like it better than the book. I feel like it's less problematic than the book in certain aspects. One being that it's just the narrative of the book. Basically, it really feels like a reward for look at all this time. This time I spent acquiring obscure geek knowledge was not wasted. It might help me in this very specific situation one day. And it feels more like a reward for being the nerdiest nerd in the room, which I never really liked the book because it felt like it was furthering a narrative of like, I'm a bigger geek than you and you're not a real geek. That sort of mentality. And I never like anything that furthers that. This movie actually has a main message behind each of its challenges. Each of its challenges actually ties in with Halliday, who's a very interesting character, turns out, played by Mark Rylance. And every one of them has a metaphor or some sort of lesson built into the challenge,
or sometimes literal.
Sometimes literal. The challenges are trying to teach and train people into like, hey, it's fun to love the stuff you love, but don't let it distract you and make you disconnected from the outside world, like it did me. Again, very there's a lot of Willy Wonka in here. Right. It's like a combination of like the Matrix and like just like any like death battle versus mode where you get to see like, oh, what would happen if this person fought this person, sort of thing. So yeah, that was. I mean, I had fun. You were having fun as well. I imagine you were having fun with me during it. I remember.
Yeah, the movie was really good. It was surprisingly solid. I think one of my major complaints about it is that it is kind of a slow movie. Like,
yeah, I know, and it's interesting because for me, because when I compare it to the book, it moves so lightning fast.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but still, like, I don't think there's anything that, well, you can cut out the unnecessary romantic subplot like you can do in almost any movie.
Will get to
but
that.
Other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot you can actually cut from this movie efficiently without messing things up.
Sure.
So, like, while it feels slow, I can't really say it detracts from the movie too much more than anything else would. I did really like Oasis, because kind of like this whole idea of the world they have. Because it's weird, the main character like lives in Columbus, Ohio, which is apparently because this is like where the Oasis was born, essentially, is the fastest growing city ever. And then just like this kind of like, I like keep treating like the world like it's supposed to be like some kind of post-apocalyptic almost.
Yeah. Except for every time we get a look at the outside world.
Besides like the stacks, which are like the slums. It looks fine. Yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah, it's no RoboCop or anything.
No.
Like, it seems like everything functions. People still go to work. People still have, like, regular jobs. Society seems to hold together.
Pizza still delivers.
Pizza delivers. I mean, it's via drone now, but you still get delivery. So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
And, like, even in the movie itself, they go like, oh, hey, if I moved, like, 5 miles that way, I get a nice clean air. I'm like, yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah, you see, that's another thing that the book is like, man, I don't want to do this the whole review.
You're gonna,
like,
though.
But like the book, it does have more time to it to tell you how the world works and what's going on and like how big the story is. It has time to meet some of these other characters that aren't all in the same fucking city. The movie is again very much on the don't think about it too hard track.
Yeah, except for the movie keeps pointing things out that it's like, hey, look at this. Like,
yeah, so there's points where that works for me and points where it doesn't. I mean, Spielberg is very much a guy who is all about the journey of the movie. He doesn't really let things like, you know, little logic leaps to distract him. I mean, even in Jurassic Park, like we all love Jurassic Park, but we all do admit, like, it's kind of weird that the Velociraptors can open doors by the end of it, but we all ignore it because we're having fun.
Right.
So it's not like that theory of his is untested, but it does push you at certain points where you can't help. But like, I'm not having so much fun that this doesn't jump out at me, and like to a point where it doesn't make sense.
But this whole entire Oasis thing is interesting because they basically made it where like, yeah, you can basically buy any sort of, 80s pop culture reference you want, but if you die, you lose everything.
Yeah, you lose all your items and inventory, so you have to start all the way from the beginning. And that was very apparent in the book as well, and that was the main threat in the beginning before people actually started dying. And in this one, they try and up the stakes a little bit near the end here too, but it doesn't have the same impact. At least I feel.
But I mean, like, you see people like really worried with the avatars. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense that you've spent this amount of time building it up. I don't blame for being worried. And then you realize that they can actually use the coins to buy like real life stuff. And I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Once you realize this, like, Wade's stepdad loses a bunch of money at one point because he stuck a lot of their.
It's not even his stepdad. It's his aunt's.
Yeah, his aunt's boyfriend.
Deadbeat boyfriend.
Yeah, or whatever. And he puts a lot of their savings into a bid to try and get one of these artifacts to get some money. And he loses it all on a match, and like you can realize people can become economically destitute via a multiplayer match.
Well, IOI is essentially basically like, hey, what if debt collectors ruled the whole entire world?
Oh, this whole film is a non too subtle metaphor for net neutrality. I mean, we have Krennic telling us about like, well, scientists are saying that what was it? How many percentage of your visual?
Like 70% of your
70 or 80% of your visual field can be taken up before seizure is induced. So we're gonna sell that to premium to ad space.
Yeah, they basically, considering that the Oasis is such a pinnacle part of life, IOI basically wants to make life a pay-to-play game, which, I mean, it already is, but still.
I mean, once Krennic was talking about fucking tiered access systems.
Like platinum
or gold, and I'm like, man, fuck this guy.
Yeah. They established him as a villain pretty easily, just not a very threatening one.
They bring in another ringer to actually fight for him via the pop culture stuff and actually fighting, which is IROC, played by T.J. Miller, who's actually a really funny character. Not in the book at all, but a real fun addition I like in here. He's one of those higher level like player killers,
right?
That works for the company.
Like he's literally a mercenary, like in the Oasis.
And he's this unbelievable badass, but played by T.J. Miller, and it's really funny to hear T.J. Miller weird voice talking about like this weird crick in his neck the entire time, while looking like this unbelievably weird.
His chest is literally like a metallic skull.
He looks like a Doom boss or something. Like he looks like something out of Diablo, like you'd fight.
Pretty much.
And it's just, I don't know. I find that inherently funny. Also, I like Artemis actually as a character. For the most part, I don't like the romance going on here, like Bud at all. I memean, it's better than the book because the book, I mean, it gets to a point where even there's a whole line in there about like, Parzival is worried about Artemis, oh well, are you a dude behind your avatar because you can change your sex and your voice and all that sort of thing? And it's like, well, are you a man and are you a girl? And by I mean that like a post or not post op or like not transgendered. And it's like, oh, hey, Ernie Klein, we managed to shove in some transphobia into this with all the nostalgia.
Lovely.
That's pretty cool.
That's also nostalgic, I suppose, in a way.
Very, very 80s of you. Yeah. So I was not crazy about that, so I'm glad that they left that out of the movie.
No, in fact, they kind of turned that on its head. They have his best friend H, who've like not even talked about yet.
Yeah, well, the best friend H, that's the same as in the book with the ultimate turnaround of what that character gets revealed.
Well, no, not that, but H is the one that actually tells Parcel, like, hey, you don't know who she is. She could be a 300-pound guy named Chuck.
Yes. And at some point, I have the same problem with the book, is that it tries to have this message of, you don't know who I am in real life. And they keep saying that, but yet everyone acts exactly like they do in the game as they do in real life.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if like say Wade was unbelievably a huge badass, and then he was a little bit socially awkward in real life. But he's socially awkward in the game too.
Yeah.
So, and then it'd be one thing if, maybe Artemis was the same thing, but she's kind of a badass in the real world too. H is exactly the same. Like there's nothing different about her online persona and her real life persona. The only one that is different is Sho, played by, and like he turns like, holy shit, you're a little kid later, and that one is the only one where his avatar actually acts a little bit differently than his real life persona.
Right.
And so so that message falls flat in both the book and the movie of like, no, you don't know who the real me is. It's more like oh no, if you know someone's online avatar, you know basically everything about them. And it's like, that's not a great message.
No, don't take that message lazy.
And I don't like how this romance goes of like, oh my god, I followed our Twitch streams, I've cyberstalked her for forever, I'm in love with her, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
Our main character is not very bright.
I mean, it's fine that's a fine storyline as long as you don't reward it and go like, oh no, that's a dumb thing to think, because that, a lot of kids do that.
Yeah,
that's like, it's fine. Wade's
having a crush is nothing.
Yeah, and
weird.
And Wade is a kid, like that's very much thing. But then to go and have them fall in love for little to no reason,
like basically upon first meeting.
Yeah, and it's weird because at least in the book, it's a significant amount of time passes between Artemis and them meeting before Wade just goes, I love you, and tells her his real fucking name.
Yeah, that's...
Which is such a big no-no.
Like, he does it in the movie, like, soon after he wins the first challenge.
It feels like a day afterwards. I'm not sure how long it actually is, but it feels like a day, like a one day.
Yeah.
And it I don't know. So that part is still very problematic, but it does lead us to a cool dance sequence where we get to see Joker and Harley Quinn in the background in a dance club,
and Reaper and Tracer.
They dance to Staying Alive, and those scenes like that are what make me go like, yeah, it would be really fun to live in this type of world and just hang at some of these places. Excuse me.
Like the Love Hotel.
Oh, that was one of the things that they kind of bring up for a half second, and I'm like, okay, all right, guys, everyone would know that there would be an orgy planet.
Oh yeah,
it would just be nonstop.
You'd be any avatar you want. Yeah,
you'd see every slash fan fiction you could ever think of.
People probably get bored and start just like, all right, we're gonna mix and match now.
You don't want to go to the upper levels of people that have been there for a while, and like what they need to do to get off now. You don't want to visit the 4chan planet or the DeviantArt planet.
God, why would you put that in my mind?
Hey, do you want to see Sonic the Hedgehog fuck a human? Go for it. Anyway, yeah, smart move leaving that out. Yeah. Actually, no, that does bring up, this does feel like a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, even though it's filled with so many 80s references, if you're an 80s baby, you're going to be into this just for the soundtrack alone.
Oh, easily. Except for you're a Rush fan.
It's interesting because the book has a whole, like, there's like a whole 2 to 3 pages. It just goes off on how much he loves Rush. Like how Wade is like, Rush is such a great band, and it has nothing to do with the story later. At least I don't think, maybe it comes back. No, I don't think it comes back later. Yeah, it has so little to do with the story later. So yeah, there's a lot of cool musical cues too, of like, just like, things you'll hear from games or some Spielberg movies too.
Yep.
That you'll hear like, oh, I know where that's from. I see you snuck it in there. Oh, that's pretty good. So I like that. There's, they even play with mods and stuff too. Like H is a modder, and that's what they do as to make money in this universe, which is, I like a little bit of that, because I kind of like, oh, that would be kind of cool to have like a job like that.
Yeah.
And like, it kind of explains a little bit of the economy of the world.
Like, they have their little mini cars, and they still actually need to get repaired, and there's some way that does that for money.
And that's where, like, basically it sets up where the Iron Giant is coming from. Like, that's a specialty mod. So that's kind of neat. They show like there's like a big shop where you can find these unbelievably rare items and stuff. And so it's kind of neat to show like, oh, well, that's kind of neat how to see how a little bit of how this world works. Sometimes I just can't help but question like how the fuck some of this is supposed to be working, because they show Wade with the rig on, right? And they go like, okay, you have like a visor on, you got gloves, and you can have the thing, you can even feel, like if you get the right suit, you can feel shit, including pain, which was weird. But I would assume you want the full experience.
Well, the pain is also for same thing with real life, basically, is that you can tell, oh, danger there.
Also cool. Yeah, I suppose. Actually, yeah, it would probably, that actually makes sense.
Since your character dies, you lose all your shit.
Yeah, it actually might be more beneficial to actually have real life synaptic, like, fight or flight responses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because, like, well, imagine, like, playing a shooter where all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm being shot, but I don't know where, because you don't know what part of your body was shot and from where.
Ooh.
You're like, ooh, back of the leg. Ah, someone's behind me.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Actually, that actually tracks. So they show him on an omnidirectional treadmill where you can run around. I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of see how this works. But then you start to think about it, and you go, wait a minute. If you have to do all the moves you do in real life in order to do all the stuff you do in the virtual reality, how the fuck does everyone know martial arts?
And it's just something you know in the future, because that's one of the things that they say don't think about too much in the movie, but then they point out a lot.
But then they show it a lot, like, and you can't help but go, wait a minute, like
even like the opening sequence of showing like Wade moving through the stacks, that you see like this old granny like doing boxing. I'm like, no, she's doing the move. She would obviously have to know how to box.
How to box, yeah. So maybe she's an old champion boxer or something.
Maybe.
I mean, later in the climax, we see people running in the street. Like we see those things in the trailer. Remember those kids running around folding fake guns, and then the Oasis, they're Spartans. And it's don't get me wrong, real cool visual.
Yeah.
Really establishing that these people are real people in real life, showing that they're also behind Wade and their real life struggles. I get why the scene's there, and I get why it's important, but also it comes with me thinking, how the fuck aren't they just running into walls?
Well, they do kind of establish that there's at least some ability of seeing through your visor into the real world as well, which doesn't really make any sense either, or at least the ability to turn it off and on, because there is a scene in the climax where like Artemis is looking away and Wade's like, what are you looking at? There's nothing over there. What are you looking at? And she's looking in real life at something else. So there's obviously some way of switching screens. I don't know.
And you figure like, well, what if they do if they need to make, like, they're hugging a building? What if they need to turn right because the building isn't recreated in the Oasis? Like the landscape is completely different.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, but again, one of those points of like, don't think about like if it's a Jurassic Park, why is there so much foliage on the building so that the two first dinosaurs don't show up at all? Like it's one of those things you're not supposed to think about it, but whatever. That one's kind of more of a nitpick. My main problem is that love interest, like that love storyline, really pisses me off.
Well, we didn't even go about Artemis's tragic scarring.
Oh God, I hate it when movies do this, and it's the sexy Frankenstein thing, guys. They do it again. Artemis has the thing of like, you don't know, this isn't my real face, and you meet her in real life. She has what'd you call it? You called it really something funny last night. Fan of the opera.
Yeah.
She's fan of the opera, operating it with her hair covering up this birthmark. It is, and we see it full on, and it's like, and Wade's like,
don't look at me, I'm hideous.
And Wade's like, oh, it doesn't bother me. You don't have to lie. I've been living with her my entire life. And Wade, and you're kind of with Wade like, no, it like legitimately doesn't bother me. It's like one, hardly noticeable. Two, it doesn't really detract from the attractiveness of your face at all.
Like, look, you're no Wade Wilson.
It's more like gem makeup than anything.
Yeah.
Like it's this pink streak. It's not even like a scarring or anything. It's just a little bit of pink on her eye. And it's like, yeah, that's like not a big deal at all.
No.
Like it's if anything, it maybe accentuates your face and makes you a little bit more attractive. I don't know. It's so yeah, and that's so dumb, and it's dumb in the book, and it's dumb in the movie, and it's one of those things, like, with so much that they do change from the book, I'm surprised that they keep some of the stuff that I'm like, man, you changed so much, like, it's one of those times where I'm like, couldn't you have changed a little bit more? And I know, like, that's one of those things I don't normally utter in adaptations, but,
you want to just have her burn her face off, right?
That sounds aggressive.
Yeah?
Burn that bitch's face. Burn it off. but it is one of those things where if you're gonna do it, do it.
Commit to it.
Like, commit to it. Like, make it to where...
Actually have some scarring.
Have some scarring to where when I see it, I go, oh, but then like with Wade, I'd get used to it after a while. Put me in that character's shoes and give her a reason to be self-conscious, rather than like it, because then it would even mean the romance would mean more, because it's like, I don't care what you look like. I care about you from,
I liked you before I met you in real life anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I liked you for your personality.
Yeah.
I know what you're like on the beauty is on the inside and that bullshit.
But it didn't really come off that way.
Well, I mean, I guess with those guys, it's beauty on the inside and on the outside. So yeah, there's that. Also, Daito and Sho, they...
You mean Asian stereotypes?
Yeah, I mean Asian stereotypes. Like, look, and again, same in the book, where it could have been a cool thing of them subverting tropes, like, Daito is this honor-bound samurai, and wouldn't it be funny if he was some nerdy white kid in his basement, right? Like, that'd be funny, right?
Yeah.
Or what if the ninja, the stoic ninja, was a 300-pound guy in Chicago named Chuck? I just wanted someone to be a 300-pound guy in Chicago named Chuck. Like, they keep mentioning it like that, but it never pans out.
They bring up Chucky. Does that count?
Yeah, I guess. Throw his ass like a grenade.
It's more like 3 pounds, but whatever.
But so Daito and Sho are both Asian characters, even though they're not actually related. And it was like, well, we chose each other as brothers, and like, wouldn't that also be more special if they were completely different in real life? It feels like the book and the movie have chances to take this message and metaphor and take it a little bit further and make it mean a little bit more, and they just don't. Like, I mean, at least in Daito and Sho, at least they get, I guess, something to do in the movie. They're so
background.
They're so background characters that, like, I mean, they get a little bit more to do in the book, but they are background characters in that too. But in this one, they are very much like, and we're the sidekicks. I
think overall, like, this movie does miss quite a bit on some of its minor messages, but it does kind of hit pretty well with the overall message, at least.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the challenges to deal, and everything dealing with Halliday, all that messaging that's been improved from the book, all of that is on point. And there's a point at the end of this movie too with Mark Rylance's character where it really hones in on the loneliness and isolation he feels from society and how he really wished he would have done stuff different. It doesn't put it all in, oh, society, if only society had understood this genius, it would have been better. It really goes on
kind of the opposite.
It's self-reflective, in which Halliday is trying to teach him, like, no, I was the one afraid. When it comes down to it, I was too afraid to interact with the world, and that's what fucked me up. Like that, and I just don't want anyone else to do that too. And so that was, I feel like that was a way better message, better handled overall. And that's where all the emotional payoff comes from anyway. So all the eggs are kind of in that basket. So like that does come off pretty well. And like I said, this is a good movie. I like it. I feel like it's held back from being truly great by some of the stuff we've mentioned.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would call out that Daito in real life, like, oh, an Asian character automatically knowing martial arts again. But like we've established, everyone in this universe knows martial arts.
Like, there's literally a chase scene that ends in martial arts in this movie, and I'm like, then sure, why not?
There's 12-year-olds pulling off martial arts moves while they're being the Ninja Turtles in this. Like, also, appreciate the Ninja Turtles. Like it. Also, couple of Battletoads in there. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's again, also, reference City, guys. Like, we haven't mentioned this yet, but like, every character on the Sun is here. Warner Brothers throws a lot of DC characters in there. We saw Spawn kicking around. That was funny.
You see Batman a couple times.
I saw Catwoman. I mean, you got to see some Street Fighter characters. At a certain point, a character does a Hadouken. Like, that's like, and I will admit that stuff does get me overall. Like, it is fun to see that. Like, oh, cool. Like to put yourself into that situation, what you would do in there. Like what car would I ride?
Right.
Like what cool spaceship would I fly? Would I fly the Serenity or would I fly an X-Wing? What outfit should I go to this dance club? Should I pick an obscure Buckaroo Banzai reference? Should I go with a Prince outfit? How about Eddie Murphy from Raw or Thriller or Duran Duran? Like what reference should I speak in? Also Simon Pegg in this as Og. Very good for the limited amount of time he's on.
Yeah, he's not in a lot of the movie.
But he sells the friendship between him and Halliday that kind of falls apart near the end. And they really sell Halliday as this really eccentric, on the spectrum guy that is like at some points you can tell like he's trying to interact with society. And at a certain point, during the midpoint, we see a point where he kind of gives up. And it's really played like, I don't know, something about Mark Rylance and his face really portrays that to me of just like how sad this guy actually is. And I really appreciated that for whatever reason. Gave it a lot of emotional,
oomph.
Yeah, oomph and like pathos to this character that really is basically just, you know, it's kind of like how Willy Wonka pulls off like the emotional beat at the end of the movie, but most of the time he's kind of like this. Oh, he's a little bit of a trickster, but like no, he's like much sadder than that.
No, like even though he is dead during the movie, he kind of comes off as that. Yeah, the guy's dead, but his character story arc is not really finished until this movie's done.
He's fighting to find a place. He's fighting for his legacy. He's fighting his own loneliness throughout his death via this contest. And I really like that. It really makes me go like, this is like considering this is all put into place because he gave up control of his company to whoever could win this fucking contest. It feels good that it has such an emotional, like it's a teaching thing too. It makes it more like there's a method to the madness than just an eccentric old guy making a contest,
a
treasure hunt for no reason.
Yeah.
It comes off as surprisingly even touching near the end.
Like he wants the right person to own the Oasis.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's the elevator sequence from Willy Wonka. Here they even have the fucking button. Like without any spoilers, but yeah, there's like I've touched all the buttons but this one. And I wonder if it even looks like it in the Willy Wonka movie. Now I want to go back and watch Willy Wonka again. But yeah, so that's really fun. We won't talk about too much of the other challenges. I want to leave them as spoiler free as possible, but they are very different from the book. They swap out War Games, the War Games challenge. They swap that out with The Shining, and they do something very significantly different with it. And it's really cool. Like, it's really fun.
It is a really fun scene.
I like it a lot, especially when one of the characters, H, is kind of like, I've never seen The Shining. You've never seen The Shining? I don't like scary movies. Is this one scary? Oh, no. Hey, little girls.
I mean, come on. Like, even if you haven't...
I mean, you've seen a horror movie, right?
Like, you live in a world that lives basically off references. How can you not
figure through cultural osmosis, you'd go, twin little girls standing in a hallway, bad.
Yeah. But you know what? Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, I don't want to go into too many spoilers about the final battle. Again, the final battle is a little color dull, but it's still fun. I can still see what's going on.
Yeah, and they actually do a good job, at least in the trailers, of like that scene you see on like the war planet is pretty much in the first 5 minutes of the film. Like you do catch a bit of the final battle in the trailer, but not as much as I thought.
Yeah, well, there's a whole segment featuring the big climax of the book, which I won't spoil, but certain giant robots do show up. And, like, they're different than the book. In the book, it's, some other, like, Gundams and, some other famous giant robots. And this one, it's, they had to switch it up just a little bit, but it's still real fun. So that's really great. And, yeah, other than that, like, I guess there was just some favorite references of mine. I mean, I really like the Kent glasses.
Oh yeah, those were cool.
That's funny. I like that where they can change your appearance, like, but without, like, they can change your identity, but without changing your overall appearance. And they give you the Superman Christopher Reeve cut, as well as the suit. I just found that funny. Anything else we wanted to go into?
No, I think we covered quite a bit on this one.
No. All right. With that, I mean, should we even do a spoiler section?
That's up to you.
I mean, I would spoil it, but yeah, you know what? We will do a spoiler section, just a quick one, because I want to talk about a little bit about the ending. But if you'd like to watch Ready Player One before you listen to that,
are we gonna give ratings at all?
Yeah, I was just gonna go into that. If you want a chance, we're gonna go into our final thoughts and ratings here. I mean, I already said everything I want to say. It's fun, good but not great. Really wish they'd actually have changed more, which is an odd thing for me to say. I know, but I feel like how I feel, so that's just how it is. I'm gonna give this one 3.5 obscure Battletoad references out of 5. I'm just really surprised that they put Battletoad.
You're just stuck on that one.
Well, it was the most obscure thing that I noticed. I'm sure there's 10,000 things more obscure than that I didn't notice.
Yeah, they mentioned about 20 Atari games. So
Oh, Jesus. Like, yeah, you wouldn't believe how many Atari games are a feature in the climax of this thing. How about you?
Yeah, I actually, even without reading the book, I enjoyed watching this film. It's a really solid film. Spielberg does a great job because he's just a, great director. Some pacing issues aside, and a little bit of issues of the main character being dumb and not really that interesting, to be honest. I'd say it's still, it's great. It's got a really good emotional impact towards the end, and just really good movie. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
All right. And with that, we are going to go into our musical break, but if you would like to abscond and not partake in that, totally get it. Understandable. Don't want to ruin any of your nostalgia trip for you. So, thank you guys so much for listening. If you'd like to help out the podcast at all, you can subscribe to us on iTunes. Maybe give us a rating while you're there. We load the 5-star reviews. We read them on the air word for word. That is my guarantee. And it's going to be great. Again, catch us for Anime Austin, or not for Anime Detour. We're doing Anime Austin as well, but it's got me Anime Detour and the Midwest Gaming Classic that's coming up. Also, if you want to check out for any of our future conventions, you can always follow us on Facebook or on Twitter at UGO Podcasts, or on Instagram. That's our same thing. Check out some of our pics, some of our con pics. They're real fun. Or you can always just email us if you just want to say hi at unapologygeekout@gmail.com. Again, check out Pod Against Evil, our new podcast, over on standagainstevilpod.com. And, with that, we are going to go into a small music break and be right back with the spoiler section right after this. Okay, spoiler talk time, Travis.
All right.
Just a couple things I wanted to hit up regarding the final climax sort of thing. One, so in the final climax of the book, Sho dies during a fight with one of the IOI where they find him in real life and murder him. And Daito has to is going for revenge for his brother and that sort of thing, and they team. It's the thing that makes them team up, the High Five, who are all supposedly kind of loners.
Okay.
And that's the thing that makes them team up and give them the final speech to have, where everybody fights near the end. This is plays out a little bit differently. It's actually Artemis that gets captured that kind of spurs the fight. And I do love that the whole Artemis getting captured is go, I'll slow them down. And I always hate that in movies where people say, go, I'll slow them down, but then do nothing to slow anyone down.
She really doesn't.
She doesn't do shit!
Well, see, what you don't understand is, capturing someone and processing them through takes a lot of paperwork.
Oh, boy. But everyone does meet up in real life, where H gets to reveal herself as I know I'm a male orc in the game, but I'm actually a African American lesbian woman in real life. Well, I guess the movie doesn't explicitly state that. The book explicitly states it. I guess the movie alludes to it during the Shining sequence a little bit.
She at least was very interested in the ladies.
Yep. And there was a reasoning in the book was just that, like, you know, I choose in the book, it's like I choose a white male avatar in their 20s because I just get more initial respect off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, you know, people don't question my, either in that one, it's like they don't question my mom did it so they don't question my geek acumen or my business acumen. I'm sorry. The mom did it for business purposes, and H does it so people don't question her geek cred or of like her like, oh, you're not an actual geek, you know.
Right.
Very much the whole gamer girl or geek girl type thing, which totally understandable. Really cool thing that they do in the book that kind of glazed over in the movie, but whatever. And yeah, the final battle goes off with Parzival giving this big speech. I am Parzival of the High Five. And this speech is like Independence Day Bill Pullman speech if Bill Pullman could not speak to a large group of crowd or had stage fright or something. This speech, I know you weren't bothered by it.
It didn't bother me too much.
I thought it was so lame when it was happening. I'm like, God, this is when it looked like no one was showing up, like the fake out where like, they might not show up and then everyone does show up. I really thought like, yeah, no one showed up. That speech was lame. And yeah, so everyone shows up to fight. We get to see fucking everybody thrown in a goddamn potluck of references. They fight Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla shows up.
Iron Giant versus Mechagodzilla.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, we have the Gundam robot show up there, and Artemis fights them from the inside, taking down some sort of magic orb. IROC even gets into the fight later, which is pretty funny, as he gets his arm cut off, and like coins fall out of it, like Scott Pilgrim. And yeah, this whole final battle sequence is pretty good. It does win me back almost immediately after the lame speech because they start to play "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Yes.
And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'm kind of into this. And I think they might have been in the same boombox from like "Say Anything" or something.
Probably.
And I was like, yeah, okay.
And they pull out the holy hand grenade because you see him buy that earlier in the film. Like, come on, use that fucking thing already.
It's only a matter of time before it comes back into it. But it goes down. They're trying to defeat the final challenge, which is the this final challenge of the adventure.
Well, all it was is that it was an Atari, and they had to figure out which game to play.
Right. And then like a secret, like the secret first Easter egg or something they're trying to find. They're trying to do that, but then the Krennic does his final move, which is to what's it called? Like this, it's like this bio bomb, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't remember. It was some kind of suicide bomb where basically it kills off every single player on the planet they're on.
On the planet that they're
including
on,
the user.
So I do like IROC. I was like, whoa, I thought you were bluffing. I have like 10 years worth of shitting on me. And yeah, so that actually goes off just like in the book. And again, this is a moment that I actually really liked from the book and does play exactly the same way and very well in the movie. Is that earlier in the film he gets a coin. In the book he got it from playing the perfect game of Pac-Man. And in this one, it comes from a bet with this archived character.
Yeah, like a curator of basically all of Halliday's memories.
That turns out to be Simon Pegg actually playing him as a later, which is him keeping an eye on the contest, which I thought like, oh, that's a good change. It makes that character feel less out of nowhere than he does in the book. Because in the book, he just shows up in like one of the last chapters. Like it's just that he's just out of nowhere. And so yeah, that coin that he got starts to float out. It's like, hey, I'm the only one not dead. And the coin floats up above him and it's an extra life. It's an extra quarter for the arcade machine. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
And it's a pretty good scene too, where like the main bad guy thinks he's won. They're looking at the scoreboard, which has like everyone's rankings, and it's all blank. And then all of a sudden Parzival just shows back up and it's like, yeah. They did a really good job of that final battle too, showing off how much damage each person was doing. Because they went they kept going back to the IOI building, where like anytime a character died, their pod would show red.
Yeah, their pods. Yeah, and then they would like every time something would happen, like a laser cannon would go off, like and it would cut through a bunch of people in a line. That line would go red in the control room.
It was a pretty good visual cue. Like, yeah, now I understand how powerful that was supposed to be anyway.
Or when Mechagodzilla falls down and wipes half of the IOI room or whatever it is, like that was a pretty good visual thing. That's pretty good. Like a lot of this stuff does work better in a visual medium than I think it ever worked in a literary form. So yeah, he finds the thing, and then he gets offered the contract. Like, hey, the internet, it's yours, guys. The Oasis all belongs to you. Just sign here on the dotted line. And Parzival is noticed, like the audience has, like, all of these tests have dealt with you and making huge mistakes in your life, and this feels a little bit weird. So he's like, oh, this must be your biggest, it's the final challenge, this must be your biggest regret. And it was interesting because he finds out even that it's not even the fact that we thought it was Kira, the woman that he loved, that ended up with his best friend, that we thought that was the hang up. But
no, it's actually the best friend.
Actually, it's this moment here where he signs away his friend's share in the company and signs them out. That's his biggest regret. He lost his best friend. He lost one of the only people he could ever connect with. The girl was just an object, like it was another reflection of society or a thing he didn't take a chance on. Og was something that he had and lost. So that is a much more powerful thing that he lost. Like that, I really liked that at the final, as a final nail in that call, like, you know, the final lesson being nailed in there.
And it even makes sense on his whole entire like goal of making sure the right person gets the Oasis, because yeah, if the IOA guys have been in there, they would like, yep, sign the dotted line right away and send it out.
Yep. So it's a final test, and it's like, you know, like, no, I'm not going to sign this. This isn't right. And he's like, I just had to be sure. And and it's again, it's that scene in Willy Wonka where it's like, no, you lose, sir. You lose. And then they're like, okay, are they going to take the gobstopper to Slugworth or not? And like, no. And like, they give the gobstopper back. Okay, you won, Charlie. And
I really like this scene in the movie, because every other time you see this guy in the Oasis itself, it's always this avatar, which is this big, grandiose Gandalf guy.
Anorak. He's like the all-knowing, all-powerful wizard.
And he's, you know, super powerful, and then like as soon as the final challenge is broken, it fades away, and it's just Halliday.
And we see him in just his regular form, in his old house. He has a younger version of himself there, playing an old, I want to say an Atari. Wasn't it a television? I think it was an Atari.
I think it was an Atari though.
But he has this, like, it's like you're seeing his own Rosebud moment of like, oh, okay, like we're seeing this guy at the point where things were simple in his life, and like but in this one it's more like, I tried to hold on to my childhood a little too tight, and now I'm finally ready to let go. And like that was like the final message as he leaves Wade with the button to turn off the Oasis. Like turn it off and like with complete control over it, and then he fades away with his younger self.
Yeah, like this guy was basically just an avatar of his own loneliness.
Sure, and he lived with that, and he finally at the end he felt when his legacy was complete
and safe,
and he felt he could move on. He killed himself along with his childhood. Very cool, liked it. Mostly significant, powerful. Reminds me of how good Spielberg is at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Reminds me why he's one of the ones we always remember and talk about. He's good at this, man. Like that's his bread and butter. And yeah, also there's a big car chase in the real world too.
Yeah. And then the cops show up.
Oh my god, the cops show up.
It's just
so The cops like show up, and it's so weird because it's the first time we ever see them in this movie.
Like I was really under the impression the whole entire time that IOI literally did just own the world.
I'm pretty sure that like they did even in the book. Like I remember cops showing up there. Like I thought like there's still like cops might have existed, but IOI probably owned them or something. So to have them show up, like because there's a significant explosion. With
really early on in the movie.
Yeah, wiping out Wade Stackhouse, killing his aunt, and God knows how many other people, and we never see cops show up there at all.
Or even we actually don't go back there either.
Sure, but we don't see emergency services, or I don't know. It just felt
like,
weird.
You don't see cops anywhere else in the movie, and then all of a sudden, like in this final scene, they show up. We're like, where the fuck were you?
Yeah, the woman that was the second lieutenant to Krennic shows up, and she jumps on the fucking the van like it's like wait, are we in the Oasis again? Because she's jumping around like an unbelievable badass.
Well, to be fair, if you're a security force in the real world working for IOI, you probably didn't have a lot of time to use your actual skills, so she was probably like super excited, like, no, it's my time to shine.
So yeah, and then Krennic tries to catch up with them, but he doesn't get there in time. Wade has the egg, and everything's cool, and they even decide to turn off the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays to let the people reconnect with the real world a little bit. And then credits. A little bit, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little jarring to not see, like, some of this other stuff, like, fall out, like, they did. They said they split the company among all 5 of them, but I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how do you, like, make decisions? You know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
I might have been thinking about it too much. And also, again, they don't turn off shit in the book. Like, in the book, that's not, it's like, nope, you just you kept it safe from corporate douchebags. You kept it from going mainstream, man. So I actually liked it in the book I liked it in the movie where they went full tilt, like, no, maybe
well, it's guys... Like, the thing is, they protected it in the movie, and they protected the people from themselves.
Yeah. Like, maybe we should... if there's anything I learned from this contest, guys, is that maybe we should take it a little bit easy on the escapism. So yeah, that was interesting. I liked how it ended a lot. I mean, I could have done without the whole like, and now we're in love, happily ever after, sort of thing. I mean, I did like the callback to the "I'm sorry, you'll forgive me for this" sort of thing. Like that was kind of funny when he shoots her avatar. But yeah, that was pretty good. I liked the Iron Giant as its dying sequence, doing the Terminator thumbs up.
That's
like
weird.
That was funny. I mean, seeing Chucky used as an item, sort of
basically a grenade that stabbed people.
That's thrown around and stabbing people crazy style. I didn't even recognize what Artemis threw into the Mechagodzilla to finally take it out. Like it was this toy, right?
Yeah. It looked like something like, I feel like I should know what that is, but I didn't.
I think I remember that being a toy from the 90s that we used to play. If you squeezed it, did it have like a thing that come out of it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Damn it.
Missing that reference, I guess.
No, I guess I must have, it's somewhere in the recesses of my memory, but I can't quite access it. But yeah, overall, the ending had a surprising punch to it. I was surprised overall. Anything else we wanted to cover in the spoiler section?
I don't think so.
I mean, you probably want to go see it for yourself just to see.
There's so many things we could spoil. I mean, there's references galore.
I mean, but yeah, my recommendation would be just to go and see, like, hey, go see who shows up there. It's a fun climax to see, like, oh, look at this guy doing this thing and jumping around here and all that. But yeah, overall, fun movie. Glad I saw it, and we will not see its like. I mean, for a while, because I was surprised in 2018 we're getting so many of these things that I never thought we'd get I never thought we'd get a Ready Player One movie because of just how the licensing, all the money it would take.
Which is actually kind of ironic when you think about the fact that corporate overlords would be stopping this movie from existing. By licensing? Whatever.
But yeah, we're getting a.
Well, we got Black Panther. We're getting Infinity War.
We got Black Panther.
Deadpool
we have
2.
a 10-year culmination of a fucking Marvel superhero franchises. We're getting another Predator film out of nowhere. Despite other events in the world going on, 2018 seems to be pretty good for geek culture. Pretty good movie wise, at least. We're having fun. Or at least I am. But until next week, I think
right now I gotta go see if I can unlock the cow level in Diablo 3. So bye.
I'm gonna go get the cow level. I'm gonna go get some more obscure references. I'm gonna go unlock some cups in Skyrim. I'm gonna go just copy cups until I drown a town in them. But yeah, until next week, guys. We will be here geeking out, just reminiscing, having a tear at all our old memories. And yes, we are Unapologists Geek Out, and
we're out.